Okay, so when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, my family got Guitar Hero. The first weekend we had it, I was playing, and after I was done with this one song, I remember being like, I'm almost kind of sore from this. The same thing happened to a very good Major League Baseball pitcher, and it ended up changing his career forever. This is the story of Joel Zumaya, a 21-year-old baseball phenom ruined by Guitar Hero. But before we get into how this could have possibly happened to an adult, and a professional athlete at that, we have two things to say really quickly. First things first, our analytics tell us that only about 25% of you watching are subscribed. So if you like the content you see here and want to know when we post more like it, click that red subscribe button. And number two, we now have apparel. We partnered with Teespring and opened up a new merchandise shop. We're really excited about this, and the first batch of offerings are on your screen right now. If you'd like to buy anything, there's a link to the shop both on screen and in the description. Alright, back to the video. Joel Zumaya was drafted out of high school by the Detroit Tigers in 2002, thanks in large part to his incredible fastball. He rose through the ranks as a starting pitcher in the Tigers system, and by 2005 was considered one of their top prospects. At this time, the Tigers had another young pitching prospect who was making waves throughout baseball. You might have heard of him. He's still one of the best baseball throwers in the world, and married former New York Yankee Kate Upton. The Tigers loved the idea of getting both their young pitching prospects to the big leagues as quickly as they could, since the team had been going through an ugly 5-year stretch. Maybe the worst 5-year stretch this team has ever had. In 2003, they had a real chance to break the all-time losses in a season record until they won 5 out of 6 to end the year. They were this close to absolute infamy. By 2006, they were dedicated to changing that. Over the past few off-seasons, the team brought in key veterans like Pudge Rodriguez, Maglio Ordonez, and the Kenny Rogers that didn't make country music. Plus, they added new manager Jim Leyland in 2006. Leyland loved both Zumaya and Verlander, but felt Verlander was more fit to be a big league starting pitcher at that time. So Zumaya made the team for opening day, but in the bullpen, and that decision turned out to be perfect. In the 2006 regular season, Joel Zumaya was electric. At just 21 years old, he took baseball by storm with his hard fastball, intense attitude, and great stats. He pitched 83 1/3 innings in 2006 and struck out 97 batters. That's a rate of 10.5 strikeouts every 9 innings. That's great, even for today, but this was in a time well before strikeouts started to become much more common. So that rate is all the more impressive for a kid who would be the same age as most college seniors. With a 1.94 ERA, 2.33 ERA+, whip of 1.17, and batting average of just 187, Zumaya was fun to watch. 3 of those earned runs in his ERA actually came on one swing. You might recognize the swing of the man who brought those runs in. If Ken Griffey Jr. could have just hit into a double play or something, Zumaya's ERA would have been just 1.62. Wow.
You just can't keep me out of your head, can you?
The 2006 Tigers as a team also had a breakout year, turning their 5 years of sadness into a 95-win season and a playoff appearance. Their first round matchup was against the New York Yankees, and in these playoffs, Joel Zumaya's story went from good to legendary. In Game 2 of the 2006 ALDS, the Tigers called on Joel Zumaya to make his first playoff appearance in the 7th inning of a 1-run game at Yankee Stadium. In this game, Zumaya faced 5 hitters: Derek Jeter, Bobby Abreu, Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi, and Alex Rodriguez. 5 very, very good hitters. He got them all out in what has to be one of the most exciting and dominant relief appearances ever. Jason Giambi in particular was very interesting. It was once said that he could be Spider-Man. Whatever, that's not the point.
Funny thing is, I actually know his secret identity.
Oh yeah, who is he?
Jason Giambi.
The point is, the pitch Zumaya struck Giambi out on was an overpowering 103 mile-an-hour fastball.
Twice as fast.
Twice as fast? That's like throwing 206 miles an hour.
If only we could rap Soto this guy. This was before Aroldis Chapman. Chapman changed throwing hard forever when he came up and popped 105 and 106 as a rookie a few years after this. But in 2006, nobody was throwing nearly that hard. And here's a 21-year-old kid on national TV proving himself to be the hardest thrower in the universe. Oh, okay. He's got a beautiful curveball too. Yeah, that's just unfair. Not only could he throw 103 miles an hour, he could paint it. A-Rod had absolutely no shot against this beautiful pitch. Hitting a Joel Zumaya fastball was like beating through the fire and flames on expert. How'd A-Rod end up doing here?
Struck him out. No chance. At 101.
World, meet Joel Zumaya. The Tigers won this game and this series. Their next matchup was the Oakland A's with a chance at the World Series on the line. And in Game 1 of this series, Joel Zumaya threw the fastest pitch in baseball history to that point. 104.8 miles per hour. We're generous here, we'll call it 105. Joel was on top of the world. You could say pitching dominance for him was as difficult as slow ride on easy, but that would be the last time he would pitch in this series. You see, the 2006 ALCS is when Zumaya suffered his first injury in the major leagues. He missed the rest of this series with a sore wrist, and after the season, the Tigers GM said it was because he got hurt playing Guitar Hero. Well done, man. Epic gamer moment. Zumaya has never truly confirmed or denied this, but it's generally believed this is what happened. Guitar Hero ran with it. In the credits for Guitar Hero 2, the game developers put the following message in. No pitchers were harmed in the making of this game, except for one, Joel Zumaya. He had it coming. You gotta love it. Regardless of what caused the injury, he was never the same after this. The Tigers did reach the World Series, but Zumaya wasn't nearly as good as he'd been before. He struggled mightily with throwing strikes, and the Tigers lost the series in 5 games. But from then on, he just kept falling to injuries. He never pitched 40 innings in a season again after throwing 83 his rookie year. Just under 40% of his career innings were in that 2006 season. On June 28th, 2010, Joel Zumaya pitched in his final MLB game. He left with one of the most heart-wrenching injuries you'll ever see, and never made it back. At just 25 years old, Joel Zumaya left a major league field for the last time. He was pitching well in 2010 while he was on the field, but from 2007 on, you could usually find Joel on the disabled list. He was never the same after the first injury, Guitar Hero related or not. But that story clouded his reputation and began to shape him as a guy who everyone knew as someone who just kept getting hurt. And that ended up being the end for him. He was never able to shake that reputation. But Joel seems to look back fondly on his career, and so should we. In 2006, he might have been the most exciting pitcher to watch in all of baseball. The highlights of him pitching in Game 2 of the ALDS against the Yankees are such a fun watch. Tiger fans seem to love him to this day, and for good reason. In a time where baseball sees more and more hard-throwing pitchers taking the game by storm, we should remember the man who broke down velo barriers for pitchers then and forever. Even if Guitar Hero, of all things, is what crashed it all down.
You know, I ran out of bullets, and that was just my career, man. I enjoyed it while it lasted, you know, and that's just the way the scene was wrote.